It's Therapy Thursday. Happy Thursday. How are
Happy
you?
Thursday.
Welcome, welcome. It is Thursday. Come on
Get
into
in
the room.
here.
That's right. That's right. We got a lot to talk about. Come on in. And I got friends. I got friends today.
Yes, 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 and yes.
Guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Dr. Triffy with Transforming Trauma Podcast. Every Thursday, I try to show up about this time to share some thoughts, some tips, if you're lucky, on how to think better so you can feel better and do better. I am a licensed psychologist in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm also a licensed professional counselor and an advanced clinical hypnotherapist. A lot of words, but all that means is I help to heal broken hearts. That's what I do.
Mm.
Okay. So today I have a lovely guest who's been on the podcast with me before, the lovely Marcia Blaine, who is also a licensed professional counselor. Marcia, welcome to another healing conversation with me.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. One, for always trusting me with your followers, because I know that you take it personal
Yes.
on what the information that you put out there. So having you trusting me and allowing me to come in front of them and so that we can engage in conversations. I love our chemistry on Trauma Transformation Thursday.
Yes.
Get in here. If y'all hadn't gotten in here, get in here. We got
That's
some
right.
good stuff tonight.
Got some good stuff. Okay, y'all. So come in, share the live. Let us know where you're listening to us from today. Okay.
Mhm.
Let us know where you're listening to us from today. Marcia, where are you today?
I am actually in Hampton, Georgia, uh,
Hampton, Georgia.
sitting in my home office,
Mhm.
enjoying the beauty of the sunshine coming through the windows.
I love that. That's one of the things I really love about the US because it still is light out at this time. And where I
Mhm.
grew up, it's not that way. It's already dark where I grew up.
Really?
Every night it's dark by this time. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah,
It's like I get a burst of energy this time of day because I can still see the sunshine. I
yeah.
can allow myself to go out and radiate in it. I take my
Mhm.
crystals out, let them get some energy, just so that you always want to keep a clean atmosphere, an
Absolutely.
atmosphere of peace, because
Yes.
listen, life has been throwing some stuff.
Hasn't it though?
Oh my goodness, it's been so very just so heavy.
Yeah.
I watched some of the broadcast about Dominica. My
Yes.
heart is just really praying for Kanisha and
Oh,
all of the island people
yes.
because it's so very close, so very close. You
It
know,
is such a wound right now. I think
yeah.
everybody's heart is just like wide open, raw,
Hmm.
and we don't know what to do next. We don't
Exactly.
know what to do next, and it's a scary place.
And it really is. And when you're stuck,
Hmm.
of not knowing and your level of control
Hmm.
um, is not under your control, that's always a problem, right?
Absolutely,
Because your entire world was rocked,
absolutely,
and
completely.
and it's like everybody's saying, okay, let's get past it, let's move. No, we can't. We can't just rush this anymore. Can't be rushed.
We cannot.
We need to
And you
address
know,
trauma.
we do, we do, we do. And so tonight, as you speak of trauma, tonight we're talking about addiction
Yes.
and that intersection too of addiction and
Hmm.
mental health
Hmm.
challenges. I really believe that at least everybody either has somebody in their family or
Hmm.
they know somebody
Hmm.
who has been impacted by addiction or
Yes.
mental health. And so my question tonight is it if you're an addict, if you
Hmm.
become an addict, if you're ever uh, diagnosed with some sort of addiction, are you always an addict? And I want to talk about addiction. I
Mhm.
want to talk about what it looks like, what you've seen it look like in your practice.
Mhm.
What can we do? You talk about our little Dominica. Yes, people, I'm from Dominica in the Caribbean, not to be confused with the Dominican Republic. We love them, but they speak Spanish. We speak English and French Creole.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just a Creole. Yeah. Yeah. So, so for a small island like my birth island,
Mhm.
which does not even have a rehabilitation center, there is
Mm.
not one rehabilitation center on the island, which, mental health support is really kind of limited to medication at the main hospital for very, severely mentally ill. There are few therapists on the island,
Mhm.
and I think a lot of people are worried. I'm gonna play like about 30 seconds of
Okay.
a song
Mhm.
from an artist from Dominica that many people are going to recognize,
Mhm.
but I can only play about 36 seconds of
Okay.
the song. And the people from Dominica, they're going to understand. So I'm going to
Mhm.
share my screen.
Okay.
I'm going to share my screen, and they're going to see him and realize why I can only play.
Yeah, all you know already. Good brain. Already. Respect rich, wealthy rich. Yeah. They blaming rich for everything. But you know already.
10
Go
seconds.
like this. Respect my partner Jordy Burn Brain. You know already. And respect I myself, Suki Burn Brain. Know the track. Yo! Yo! Wow! 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 Girl, I love to feel it whipping, whipping.
That's about all I can play. That's about all I can play.
Mhm.
About all I can play. But
Okay.
this young man is a bit of a genius, if you ask me, with lyrical
Mm.
manipulation and music and putting music together, you know. But
Mhm.
recently he's been highlighted a lot because he's been clearly struggling in the
Mm.
community with substance use issues,
Mhm.
and he's one of our celebrities right now,
Mm.
but I think a lot of people are worried about him. I've had several people reach out to me and ask, what do you think we should do? And so that's one of the reasons I really wanted to bring you on, because
Mm.
you and I, we can talk and come up with some juicy ideas for the people to maybe support them, given many of the limitations we have on the island with
Mhm.
mental health resources or a lack thereof. So, what's addiction? I mean, what is that about, Marcia?
Addiction, in a very simple definition, is a compulsive behavior to use a combination of things. And I know we often talk about addictions to substances, but you can have addictions to sex, to food, to lying, to manipulation. But for this platform, the addiction is that part of you that has decided that I am connected to this compulsive behavior to meet a need within my body that I've decided that drugs resolve, that it helps to numb. Because our truth is when people are addicted to substances, where it's alcohol, meth, heroin, crack, people say marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
I have a whole different topic about that. um, but most people that are addicted to something, they're usually numbing something else. Your
Mm.
problem isn't the addiction, it's the trauma that's actually driving the addiction.
That is interesting, okay? Because there are different schools of thought,
Mm-hmm.
right? On that. What the explanation you're offering me is connected to trauma. I
Mm-hmm.
heard a very well-known researcher, speaker, um, uh, Dr. Gabor Mate
Mm-hmm.
talk about the relationship between trauma and addiction and
Mm-hmm.
how they're so closely connected, you know. So, what are your thoughts? Tell me more about that trauma piece you think that is so deeply connected to addiction.
So oftentimes when we are traumatized, I believe that if our foundation is shaken, the foundation being food, clothing, shelter, safety, security, love,
Mm,
those things, when those are shaken, right, you find yourself trying to figure out ways to numb the pain. So if you are in a space where you've had to suffer abuse,
mm,
neglect, abandonment, um, feeling a lack of presence and validation, belonging, loving, things of those natures, then you could be subject to a traumatic experience. And then you pull yourself in a place to pull in a substance, alcohol, drugs, sex, food, to actually make you feel like
mm,
a person. When you think about people who overeat, I shared on my podcast that when I recognized that I didn't want people to see me, I put on weight
yeah.
because it
Mm,
was suppressing the trauma, right?
yes. Yes.
And so people who are addicted to substance abuse, if you sit down and have a conversation with them, you're going to hear their abuse. Mama did it, daddy did it, cousin, auntie, uncle, them did it. I was introduced to drugs at a very early age. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't feel safe. I didn't feel secure. This is what everybody was doing. So that trauma piece is that introduction at the very beginning of existence.
Mm-hmm.
Now I need to numb the pain because it hurts.
Yeah.
I don't have this substance. That means that I actually have to feel the pain of the situation that I've been running from.
So the substance in many instances is used to, like you say, numb pain, numb emotional pain. We're
Mhm.
talking about psychological pain, to form a connection.
Mhm.
A lot of people it's essentially a relationship with
Absolutely.
that substance, because now I can begin to trust that substance to give me a certain thing, a certain
Because I
feeling.
know that if I use crack, beam me up, Scotty. I'm
Yeah,
going to be high. I
yeah,
know that if I drink enough alcohol, I'll pass out and go to sleep.
yeah,
I know that if I smoke enough weed, I'm just going to mellow out.
yeah.
I'm going to escape the situation. I know that if I eat enough cheeseburgers and fries and
Mhm.
chips and drink soda, that I'm going to get this euphoric, feeling
Yeah.
that it's all numb. So I keep going back.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
keep drinking, I keep eating, I keep chasing
Mhm.
that numbness because
Mhm.
it's easier for me to chase the numbness than it is for me to deal with the trauma
Mm. Or my reality in
or my
front of me.
reality. Hmm.
And over time, again, the painful thing to watch now, perhaps as an observer, perhaps as a family member, perhaps as a
Hmm.
community member, is to see the person now change
Hmm.
into somebody different, huh? As they form this new relationship with this substance.
Absolutely. And you want so desperately to help. Like America, we've come up with all these plans. Now that meth is a big thing and heroin is back on the market, we all
Mm.
of a sudden, oh my God, we need mental health care.
Yeah.
Well, our truth is, have we dealt with the trauma?
At the base of it.
have we dealt with the actual base of the trauma? Have
Mm.
we dealt with the fact that we have veterans who are alcoholics because we hadn't dealt with the trauma of their experience in the military?
Yeah.
Have
Mm.
we dealt with the fact that a little girl that is on drugs because she's trying to suppress her sexual abuse?
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
we're so busy talking about and pointing fingers. Oh, she's fast. Oh, she's this. Oh, she's that. When the truth is, did we deal with her abuse?
The
Did
truth
we
is at the
deal
bottom.
exactly? Did we deal with her mama pushing her away and being jealous of her? You know, that narcissistic stuff.
Yes. Yes.
Did we deal with daddy being absent and no one embracing her and validating her? Did we deal with the little boy that was molested and then taunted? Told him,
Mm.
you soft,
Yeah.
you weak, you ain't nothing.
Yeah.
But you stole my innocence. And now you have the nerve after traumatizing me, telling me I'm not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. So are you saying that things that some people have a way of downplaying, like neglect? We in psychology and mental health, we might say emotional neglect,
Mm-hmm.
where your parent doesn't offer you, you didn't have the experience of
Mm-hmm.
feeling connected to your parent, your
Mm-hmm.
primary caregiver. You
Mm-hmm.
were probably yelled at in a way that made you feel so much less than. You
Mm-hmm.
were ignored, you were called names. Are you
Mm-hmm.
saying that stuff is traumatic?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because part of our human makeup is the need to belong.
Yes.
When children are born, their only language is crying. And the resolution to that crying is that warm touch,
Yeah.
that embrace, that feeding,
Yeah.
that feeling of warmth and protection. When they don't get that, you know how some parents are very short tempered. Child keeps crying, crying, crying. Stop all that crying. You're just spoiled.
Yeah.
Here's a public service announcement:
Mm,
children cannot be spoiled.
mm,
They
mm,
cannot be spoiled. They
mm.
can be loved or they can be neglected. Now
Yeah.
you can choose,
Yeah.
but that's what you have. Children cannot be spoiled. They have no language other than the need of belonging. And so when they are actually rejected, guess what? They're going to still look for that need to be fulfilled, whatever that need looks like.
Marcia, so what about all of our parents, people who look like you and me, culturally, who have a thing about let the baby cry?
Mm-hmm. And it actually goes back to slavery. Let them cry because we need to teach them independence. We need them to understand how to function when we get stripped away from them. We need to know that they can survive when they are stripped away and they're by themselves and they're in a place where the master can come in and rape them and beat them and then sell them off. This is generational. It's lineage that comes down through the African American community, the Black community, right? It
Yeah.
comes down. And so our misplaced, see, here's the thing: our white counterparts, our Caucanoid brothers and sisters, didn't want our children to have that connection of belonging, because if they had the connection of belonging, they would be human.
Yes. Yes.
One of the things I'm often reminded of is in 1898, when they had the very first APA, 1898, 60, I can't remember, the
Mm.
very first APA conference.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize this, but this was part of my dissertation. In there, those psychologists that came together decided that Black people weren't intelligent enough to need mental health care. So
That's
we
right.
weren't included. So our
That's right.
babies, years, decades ago, hundreds of years ago, 400 years ago, were stripped,
Yeah.
right? And were made to believe, I can't love on you because if I love on you, if I protect you, if I nourish you, they're going to take you away from me.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
that's what got passed down.
Yeah.
So the abandonment, the neglect, and the lack of hugs that we didn't receive from the baby boomers is because
Mhm.
they didn't know.
Yeah.
We can choose to let that direct us now,
Mhm.
or we can choose to change it and learn how to love. I tell people all the time, two sad stages in my life: my grandmother passing.
Mhm.
She was born in 1920.
Mm.
Up until her deathbed, my mother had not had exchanges of her saying, "Daughter, I appreciate you. Daughter, I love you. Thank you." My mother was the oldest of 10.
Oh.
And so she had to leave grade school to work
Yeah.
the cotton fields because they were sharecroppers.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
On my grandmother's deathbed was the first time my mother heard her mother say, "Thank you for being a great daughter." Now,
Wow.
mind you, my mother at that time, my mother and grandmother shared the same birthday, but they were 20 years apart to the T.
Yeah.
And imagine the breaking of my mother's spirit
Absolutely.
to hear
Absolutely.
that on her mother's way out.
Mm.
All of those years of I needed nurturing and I needed to hear that I was good. My mother literally did not stop mourning my grandmother's death until she passed 5 years later.
Wow. You know, what you're
Mhm.
talking about is about the creation of neural pathways in the brain that we all need. So we do it too with addiction. The repetitive use or the exposure to trauma,
Mhm.
it wires the brain in a way that that little baby did not come to the planet. And
Yes.
so, yes, there are some people who say that we have a predisposition to
Hmm.
become addicts or
Yeah.
addicted to. You might have a quote unquote addictive personality. I don't
Hmm.
know how much I believe that, but
Hmm.
I do agree based on brain imaging studies that
Hmm.
there is biological predisposition
Hmm.
to addiction.
Hmm.
And and in addition to that, the more you use, you wire your brain a certain way.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on that?
I totally agree. I believe that addiction can be a genetic property that
Hmm.
is passed on. I did a genogram of my family, and
So
I
tell the
shared.
people what's a genogram.
So a genogram is it's a chart that actually outlines some characteristics of
Yeah.
your family, your experiences, and things of that nature.
Hmm.
And so, in my family's genogram, a couple of things came out. One, the men in the family often are addicted to a minimum alcohol.
Mm.
The men in my family are often killed by cancer. So what I did with that information was share it with my son and my nephews and let them know, listen, there is an addictive principle
Yes, yes,
of
yes,
substance abuse in
yeah,
this family of men.
yeah,
Goes back as far as we can trace it. On both sides, it was on my mom's side and my dad's side.
yeah. A double whammy.
A double whammy. And so when you understand that there are some generational characteristic traits that are there that's kind
Hmm.
of wired, you
Yeah.
have to be mindful. It's kind of like the characteristic trait of under or the generational understanding of diabetes. When
Yes,
you know that it's in your family, you
yes,
actually have to begin to change
yes,
how you eat, how you function, and your association and relationship with food. Same thing with substance abuse. If you know that you have a lineage of substance abuse, then you want to address what that looks like so that you can move away from it.
so you're saying,
Mhm.
yes, you might actually be born biologically with a brain that's hardwired towards, it bends towards
Mhm.
addiction. But
Mhm.
in your environment and based on the choices you make, you can actually have different outcomes than the
Absolutely.
people before you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Um, I know my mother chose not to drink
Mm-hmm.
because her daddy was an abusive alcoholic.
Yes, 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 yes.
So even if she saw me with a glass of wine, she was like, "You don't need that."
Mm.
It's like, "Mom, I hear you, and I
Yeah,
can promise you, I'm very aware
yeah,
of what our genetics are. But one of the things that I did do is I made sure that I limited her having to see that because I knew it was a trigger for her
yeah,
because it would take her back to that unprocessed trauma of being physically beaten by
mm,
her dad under
yeah.
the influence of alcohol. So
Mm-hmm.
you become aware of what those influences are. I'm going to stop for a quick second. Jacqueline asked the question. She said, if a child isn't spoiled, then is there another term? Yes, well loved. Well,
You heard that, Jacqueline?
yes,
Well loved.
well loved. They are well loved.
You
Uh,
know what picking up a child does is it actually teaches the child that my needs are going to be met. When
and
I
it
that
exactly.
I can express my desire, I can express
Mhm,
my pain, my
mhm,
discomfort, and my source of supply.
mhm,
You know, as a baby, that's
mhm,
whomever your caregiver is. It
mhm,
becomes predictable.
mhm,
Okay? And
mhm,
there are many children, well, you know, people are born, again, we have these hard wirings that bend us towards, say, depression or bend us towards high anxiety. There are
yeah,
some kids, of course, who come to the planet and they cry more, they need more touch, they need more. Every child comes out different.
mhm,
They
mhm,
need more touch, they need more affection, some need more space.
mhm, mhm,
And so as the caregiver, especially in the early years, as
mhm,
that brain is growing and making all of these connections, those dendrites and all of those little whatever's in the brain that are connecting, that baby brain learns, oh, I'm good because when I cry, my
mhm.
needs get met.
Exactly. And when you think about it and you recognize that how else does a child communicate with you other than crying,
Yeah.
right? After they begin to have a language, you then teach them other manners on how to respond. Like my 4-year-old grandson, he's being taught, dude, no, you can use your words to communicate what your needs are, right? You
Yeah.
have words, not just your tears, but your words. So we're going to use our words. Well, we get to teach him that, right?
Yeah.
Instead of children crying, because that was the language that actually got a response from them.
Yes.
And when they had that need, I'm hungry, I'm wet, I'm tired, I don't know how to express. I mean, come
Yeah.
on, y'all. Grown ups can't even express their emotions that well. And then you expect the babies,
I know, right? I
you
know.
know,
I
themselves
agree.
extremely well. No, we gotta actually have a different look. We have been so colonized about how we raise our children and how we treat them. And we are the only culture that will kick our kids out.
I know. Wednesday, Richie.
It's horrible. We'll kick our children out and say, go be your best self.
Yeah,
How?
I
You didn't
know.
even give me anything I needed so that I could be my best self. How does
Tools,
this work?
the tools.
You tell me to go out and don't get on drugs, but all I saw was drugs and alcohol and abuse in the house. How does that
Oh,
work?
you.
How does that actually work? You expect me to have some kind of financial awareness, but you never taught me
You
finances.
didn't teach me.
You didn't
You.
teach me self esteem. You didn't teach me vulnerability. You didn't even teach me belonging because you was too busy ready to remind me at 18, you getting out, you better have a plan.
Yeah. You know, Neva talks about Maslow's hierarchy of needs
Mm-hmm.
and how this is exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lack of awareness by many parents who are, and in this day and age, I don't know that we have many excuses left because information is one click away. I think
Mm-hmm.
whatever question you have at this point, you
Google
can ask,
University.
yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
can get the answer.
Mm-hmm.
But for a lot of us, you know, in our generation, definitely growing up, there were many things that people where you were made to feel like, why are you crying? Why are you should be happy with what you have. Just be happy, just be satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of here, shoo. A lot of people got that kind of
Mm-hmm.
raising,
Yeah.
parenting.
And then we pass it on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
So I love that you talked about that underbelly of
mm-hmm.
addiction. There's an
Mm-hmm.
underbelly. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't just show up in isolation often. You know, every now and then you have a person who just was a curious bug and they wanted to be like, okay, let me just try it,
Mm-hmm.
without any. But you, more often than not, there's a trauma story
Yes.
underneath addiction, more
Yes.
often than not. So, what now is that intersection between addiction and mental health? In psychology, we call it dual diagnosis.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what does that look like? What does that look like?
A dual diagnosis could look like ADHD and alcohol abuse,
Oh,
ADHD and substance abuse, meth, heroin, Ritalin, ADHD, bipolar disorder, and those manic and depressive swings using alcoholism. It could look like borderline personality disorder. It could look like depression and
mm-hmm,
substance abuse. I'm huge on really identifying post-traumatic stress
mm-hmm.
because I know that a lot of underlying substance abuse is associated with some level of trauma that
Yes.
has actually segue to depression,
Mm-hmm.
segue to bipolar disorder,
Yeah.
segue to ADHD.
Yeah.
When I run substance abuse groups, that's one of the first things we talk about. How old were you at your onset when you first started using?
Yeah.
And from that point, let's go backwards. What was that childhood like?
Yeah.
What was going on that actually allowed you to think that it was okay for
Mm-hmm.
you to get involved with substance abuse? A lot of times, especially for medication prescribers, psychiatrists, medical doctors, and things of that nature, they don't get into the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, you're depressed. You hit this on the depressive scale. Let's get you some medication.
Yeah.
And I am not uh, against medication,
Mm-hmm.
but I am against anything that doesn't allow you to go to the source in the beginning of your why.
Yeah.
We can medicate, and I work for the VA. They
Yes.
get bags of medication,
Yeah.
and I hear it every day. The medicine isn't working, and it's not. It's
Yeah.
not going to work simply because there is a trauma.
Yeah.
The medication suppresses your ability to deal with the trauma. And then we have to begin to look at, well, if the medication is suppressing my neurological response system to trauma, what am I
Mm-hmm.
actually doing?
Mm. Mm. And
Why?
at the very least, the medication might
Mm-hmm,
take away some of the emotional responses I'm having, which is what you're saying, which
mm-hmm,
really emotional pain, in my experience, is a signal that
mm-hmm.
something is off. I must investigate it so I can address it and make a
Exactly.
connection. Yeah.
And trauma is simply the dysregulation of a neurological. I'm gonna shift this light. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
That's
Because it's just going all over the place. Trauma is the emotional dysregulation
yeah.
of your neurological system. And if you don't deal with the trauma and this rewiring,
Yeah. There has to be a rewiring.
there has to be a rewiring. You asked the question at the top of the show, am I addict always?
Yeah.
It really is a decision. It really is a decision because I'm a firm believer that if you address the trauma,
Mm-hmm.
we can get control over the addiction.
Yeah.
That's just my personal belief. I've seen it in therapy. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it where people are saying, I didn't know that my molestation
Yeah,
did this
was
much to
at the
me.
root of this. And I agree with you
Mhm,
because I've seen it too. I
mhm,
agree with you because I've seen it too. I will say in large measure. I would
Yeah.
say large measure, if we can get to the source,
Mm-hmm.
the root, then you stand a good chance if you're willing to put in the work and the time and the learning the new skills. You mentioned groups. I love groups, like, and we'll talk about group therapy because group, when you think about AA, the positive of healing from an addiction in a group is that you have the energy of that group when
The
you're not feeling
belonging.
strong enough. Yes, and the
Mm-hmm.
belonging,
Mm-hmm.
the love that over time people are able to come to when they're able to make connections.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
And
know,
the thing that I love about groups and um I don't treat my groups like AA
yeah.
because I need to get
Well,
to
what
the
is
root
AA
of
for those
trauma.
of my
Well,
people who don't
AA is
know?
Alcoholics Anonymous, and
Uh-huh.
they
What does it do?
have a substance abuse group or
Mhm.
process with 12 steps.
Yes.
Introduce a higher power source,
Hmm.
accountability, consistency, and things of that nature. The
Hmm.
group is cool. I mean, if that's where you are and that's what you need, that's
Hmm.
fine. I do my groups a little differently because I always go to the trauma source. That actually helps people to become aware of their why behind me and this light. We fighting
You
today.
find your day.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. My daughter's gonna come and cut the overhead light on in a second. But
Yeah.
when I'm working with groups, imagine a room full of young black men,
Yeah.
court mandated for substance abuse.
Meaning they don't want to be there. Meaning
They
they
don't
got
want
to
to
be
be there. The
trouble,
court
and
said
the
you
judge
either
said you
go
had
or
to
go
be
to
there.
jail.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they're
Yeah.
court mandated to come to groups. The first thing, they get excited because I'm black,
Yes.
because they feel like I'm gonna automatically be able to make a connection.
Yeah.
The second thing they get excited about is I'm a woman,
Yeah.
because they feel like there's going to be some level of nurturing
That mama. That
that
mama vibe. Mama
and
energy.
mama always show up.
Yeah.
I mean, that mama part of me, she is
Yeah.
gonna come out regardless.
Yeah.
She come out in therapy, she come out in hypnotherapy, she come
Yeah.
out in whatever it is that I'm doing. Because one of the things I recognize is that belonging piece of Maslow. So
Mhm.
many people never belonged.
They never really feel it. They don't feel it in their body.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that validation piece of being seen.
Yes.
And then when you connect the trauma to their why,
Mm.
they can walk out and say, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm not drinking anymore.
Yeah.
They still coming back into session and all of that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
but they've decided I was seen.
Yeah.
So there is hope for change.
Mm-hmm.
And that dual diagnosis is, that means that if I'm diabetic and I have high blood pressure, I can't just treat the diabetes.
Have to do
I
both.
have to treat diabetes and high blood pressure. It's
Mm-hmm.
the same process when you're dealing with somebody on substances. You hear people saying, I don't know why. I want to stop drinking. I
Yeah.
don't know why.
Yeah.
And then you have people writing them off. Oh, you're just going to be a drunk all of your life.
Yeah.
Never going to get together. But why? No one's had a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
No one's talked to them about their pain.
Yeah.
No one's tried to understand.
I think because a lot of drug use and addiction behavior,
Mm-hmm.
addiction related behavior is criminalized.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people to get a rock will steal, to get a hit will steal, will whatever, will prostitute themselves, will do things where they end up in the criminal justice system. So
Mm-hmm.
it looks to many people as if, oh, they're just being bad, they're just being these horrible scum of the earth people. There's nothing wrong with them, they just are badly behaved.
But was that not the reason for bringing those drugs into the country in the first place? Was that not to set up a divisiveness between the people? Are you just a crackhead? Are you just a meth addict?
Mm-hmm.
Was that not the intent to create this separation so that the story of bad people
Mm-hmm.
can be overshadowed,
Good perception.
right? The perception of only bad people get on drugs.
Yeah.
Really not true.
So,
Because the little girl in high school that came from a home with two parents
yeah.
that used drugs because she needed to fit in, because she wasn't being validated at home, she wasn't encouraged at home, she wasn't seen at home.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and take that hit.
Yeah. So I can fit in. So I can fit in. Okay. So I think many parents miss the fact that their kids are struggling.
Oh,
What are some signs for parents to be looking out for family members to be looking out for? Because, like a lot, people who use are very good with the reasonings and the rationalizations and the nice, pretty explanations for why they're doing something you on the outside might think is not good for them.
some of the things that I encourage parents to do, especially of young people that have tried drugs, or you recognize some things are changing. One, develop communication with your child early.
Mm,
Create a situation where your child really understands the importance of communicating with you as their parent,
mm-hmm.
understanding that it's okay if I've done something that you may not agree with. It's not going to send me to hell. It may upset you because I did it, but I can still come and talk to you because you're my source, you're my person
Yeah.
that I can talk to. Second thing, identify changes, either isolation,
Yeah.
grades dropping, uh, different music.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I am going to say minimize access to social media.
And there are certain
Mm-hmm.
barrels, there's certain holes of what you call it, hell. There's certain social media holes of hell.
Mm-hmm.
Teenagers can go down
That
so
rabbit.
rapidly.
It's like with suicide. Children can go out on anywhere on the internet and find
Yes,
out how to complete their life.
absolutely.
These challenges, um, when I was in undergrad, the challenge was smoking bath salts. What in the world? But the kids were doing it.
Yeah.
The
Mhm.
challenge was all of these hang yourself until you black out and hope that you don't die.
Yeah.
A lot of it is we have to get back in the home and remember that our little people are individuals with personality that we're hoping to develop into productive individuals. That requires parents to be present.
Hmm.
I
Time.
know in Generation X and now the millennials, we were so busy trying to give our kids stuff that
Hmm.
we didn't have, that we missed relationship.
Yeah. Time.
We missed that time. We missed the quality of time.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, people will do time, they'll take them to get their hair done,
Hmm.
they'll take them to buy all this stuff, and
Hmm.
then put them on a computer or game system or whatever and push them on.
Hmm.
Those children, and I tell parents this all the time, yes, our children from 0 to 10 need us, but truly our children from 13 to 21 needs us more.
Yes.
They need our influence in their life,
Yes. Yes.
need us to allow them spaces of vulnerability and
Yeah.
trust, emotional connection. We need to be in their business.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And who you talking to? What is that going on? Why you on TikTok so much? Why
Yes.
you on
Yes.
Instagram so much? I need to be in your business because
Yes.
you're my business.
Yeah.
Parents have gotten to the place, and here's the thing. I was a single parent, so I'm not knocking single parents. Please don't take this offensively. A lot of times when we become parents very early in life, after our kids get to a certain age, we go back to being that teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And we miss the opportunity to really parent our children. So
Mm-hmm.
they then see us doing certain things. We
Mm-hmm.
sitting around and we drinking and we chilling and we smoking and we doing all of this stuff. Well, what message are we sending to our kids? That it's okay.
That it's okay. That it's okay.
And so we want to be able to put children in an advantage situation. We
Yeah.
want to have real conversations with them about what drugs are, what they are about. We want to have real conversations asking questions about trauma.
Yeah.
You know, it's heartbreaking as a therapist to have 10, 11, 12-year olds that are coming in that are experiencing trauma because they've been violated
Yeah.
mentally, physically,
Yeah.
they've been neglected. And excuse me, I have
Mm-hmm.
some young people saying, can you just talk to my mama?
Mm.
Can you tell her that I need to be seen, that I
Yeah.
need her to talk to me? I don't need her to just tell me go do my chores,
Yelling. Yeah. Yeah.
but I want to have a conversation,
Yeah.
with her. We have to be present for our children like we desired somebody to be present for us.
And that is time. That is the time.
If
Time.
we want to reduce the impact and the influence of substance abuse, those dual diagnoses, we have to address some of these issues of trauma. One of the things I dislike hearing is, well, what do these kids have to be have anxiety and depression about?
Right.
They
Right.
got everything. They
Got
got everything but
everything.
you.
Yeah. They don't have you.
And so it's so easy to sway them to use substances. It's so easy to sway them to engage in sex early,
Mm-hmm.
to overeat, to not allow you to see them cry. It's so easy for them to have an attitude with you
Yeah.
because the only time you talk to them is when something's wrong.
Mm-hmm. You
Those are, uh-huh.
I'm thinking about this book, y'all. If you have a teenager in your home, it's called Brainstorms.
Mm-hmm.
Because when puberty hits and all of these hormones, I think we really downplay the impact of hormones in our day-to-day lives,
Mm-hmm.
forgetting simple things like when you're hungry, there's no way your body is not going to be working up a storm and ready to eat and put you in a cranky mood. It's hormones doing that stuff. When you're ready to sleep, there's no way you can stay up
When you're not
if your brain
warm,
is ready to sleep.
when you don't have a bed, when
I
you're not warm, when you don't have an embrace, your brain is desperate.
Exactly, exactly. And you match that, you collide into puberty with
Mm.
all of these pregnant women. You understand this. You never used to eat pickles, you never used to eat a certain food, and all of a sudden you want to eat it. This is hormonal stuff that it's very hard to work against. So you
Mhm.
have all of this, you've essentially set the kid up if you haven't established a nice open door kind of relationship where they feel safe, because once that puberty hits and that stage of development hits where children, young people prefer their peers, they prefer their friends, and that's
Yep,
actually developmentally appropriate. But
exactly.
that means the influence you used to have, you don't have it as much during that phase of time.
But you could,
You
if
could.
you established a
You set it up
foundation
early.
early enough
You set it up
of
early.
communication, of acceptance,
Yeah.
belonging, and validation. You made me think about my 10-year-old granddaughter, and children nowadays, they're so knowledgeable. And she said, can you help me put a bag together? Because I really don't want to be like one of my friends when my cycle comes. And I was like,
Oh,
yes,
oh,
baby. Let's talk about that.
wow.
And so what I did, and me and her mom sat down and had a conversation with her because I never wanted her to feel like we felt, like I felt. It's a
Yeah.
taboo subject. You can't talk about those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
No, we need to talk about, you know what, there are going to be some days that you're going to be easily irritated. When that time does come, what
Yeah.
we want to encourage you to do, come and have a conversation with us.
Yeah. As opposed to some of the traumatic experiences many of us had with our parents and grandmothers who were like, get out of here, or
hmm
just
I
not.
remember trying to wear a bra. I didn't get boobs until 8th grade, 7th grade, in late 7th grade, and didn't get my cycle to 8th grade. But in the 6th grade, because everybody was wearing bras,
Yeah.
I put on a bra or a training bra. And my grandmother said, "Girl, what you got that on for?" And I was like, "I'm cold."
Yeah.
And so
Oh.
that shut it down, right?
Oh. Yeah.
Now I can't even trust this environment to talk about those things. We have to be available
Yeah.
for our, if your children can't trust you
Yeah.
in those stages of hormonal changes,
Yeah.
vulnerability, and things of that nature, who are they going to trust?
Yeah.
The street?
Yeah. And
Their
that is, the answer
friends?
is yes. Their
Mhm,
friends and the street.
mhm.
Somebody else. Won't be you. Won't be you.
Exactly.
Let's take a few comments. Simeon is listening from New Jersey.
Nice.
Greetings, sisters. Awesome vibes. Thank you. Hi, Niver. Good evening to you. And Janice, my sister, good evening. Good evening. Hi, Olivia. Good night. How are you? Wednesday, great energy, but any plan now would have to be long term. I think you're talking about the musician because Too Short, Too Flam cannot work. Too Short, Too Flam is a Creole, Dominica Creole parable that suggests that many people have high energy in the beginning and then they fall out, they
Mm-hmm,
fade.
mm-hmm.
And so she's talking about being consistent,
Absolutely.
consistent with offering this young man support, you
And
know?
and the thing is when we're rewiring our brain, it's a intentional awareness. It
Hmm.
is a consistent things. The things that we did as teenagers in our 20s, our 30s, me over 50 and a
Hmm.
half,
Hmm.
closer to 60 than backwards.
Hmm.
And so the things that I did then, the things that I did 5 years ago, I don't do now because my brain is continuously being rewired. And so when you talk about this young man, you have to identify that when this process starts, it is a continued, consistent change.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, you can't want for an addict to not be an addict more than them.
Oh, oh man, how many families and loved ones are in that position where you want your person to stop using more than they want to stop using, which is how it's going to be in the beginning. More often than not, that's how it is.
But you want them to stop using. Let's keep it real. You want them to stop using because you're tired of dealing with them, not because you're tired of them using.
Tired of them, tired of the stuff they do,
Mhm.
tired
You're
of the
tired of
behavior.
them stealing from you. You can't trust them. You're tired of them embarrassing you because now the entire
Embarrassing.
community knows about it.
Absolutely.
Are you really tired of seeing them suffer, or
Yeah.
is it about you? If it's
Yeah.
about you, they're not going to change
And I'm ready
because
to
they already felt your abandonment early on.
feel it. Gonna feel it.
Mhm.
Gonna feel it. So what can for this young man, what are some of your thoughts as to how the community can support him? Because remember, on the island, there's not a rehabilitation center. I found out, y'all, that there is an Alcoholics Anonymous group, an AA group, which might be the only group sort of experience in Dominica. And I'll
Mhm.
give the information at the end. But that that's about one that I know of. The rest would be a couple um, therapists,
Mhm.
psychotherapists. So what does a community do? A community, and there's the other thing. So we're still very connected to each other.
Mhm.
Everybody knows him. So everybody's, and we think just because we speak hard to a person, we're like, behave, you mustn't do this. We think they're going to listen. So
Right.
so what are some of your thoughts?
So my thoughts about that is When you're talking about the community, first thing is someone that is trying to be free from substance use has to feel safe. They have to feel safe that they're not going to be judged and they're not going to be abandoned.
Mm.
That's
They're not going to be judged, and
mhm,
they're not going to be abandoned. And
mhm,
it's such a tender spot, tender
mhm,
space to be in, isn't
mhm.
it?
It really is because when we think about the truth of situations and circumstances regarding substance abuse, and especially in this area where there are limited resources,
Hmm.
um, you want to one have people knowledgeable
Yeah.
of foundational things about substance abuse, and you have to talk to them through that knowledge, right? Meaning you're not talking to them about the substances they use, you're talking to them about the trauma that led them to use.
You got to go underneath, go
Hmm.
on the belly.
And you're talking to them from a place of, I see you.
Yeah.
Don't see the
Can
addict.
you say that? Can you say that again?
Mhm. You have to talk to them from a place of, I see you.
I see
Don't
you.
see the addict. I actually see you,
You.
the good hearted individual who desires more out of their life, the
Yeah.
one that's stuck
Yeah.
in this place of substance use because it kind of comes with the territory as an artist, right? The one who has recognized that this is my only time of being vulnerable.
Mm.
Because if I am under the influence, you often hear people say, alcoholics going to tell you the truth when they're drunk
Yeah.
because they can be vulnerable. And
Yeah.
then they can blame it on the substance if
Hmm.
their feelings are hurt. Well,
Hmm.
I was drunk, but it
Yeah.
was their truth. And so, as a community, what you all can do, what I would encourage is 3 to 4 people that this young man can trust.
Hmm.
Um, Excuse me, can you plug this up for me so my battery don't die? Thanks, love bug. I appreciate you. But you want 3 to 4 people that this young man can trust
Hmm.
in the bathroom, um, and that he feels comfortable being vulnerable with.
Comfortable being vulnerable with. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because here's the thing: if you're come to me to talk to me about substance abuse, but I know that in the past you tried to manipulate me for money,
Hmm.
I had some fame, or
Right. Right.
whatever those situations is, I'm not going to trust you.
Right.
I'm
Right.
looking for your angle.
Yeah.
I need someone that's going to be authentic
Hmm.
to where they can come in and help me see me.
Hmm.
I don't know me.
Yeah.
I know the artist, I know the addict, but
Yeah.
I don't know me.
Yeah.
Most people have a hard time even defining themselves. And so it's easy for them to become users of
Something else.
substances.
That's right.
Mhm.
Something else, because I don't even know myself. So what is there to value? What is
Exactly.
there to really appreciate about me?
If
Yeah.
I've been told all of my life that I have no value, I'm nothing,
Yeah.
I'm just here,
Yeah.
then why should I believe anything different?
You talk to about sometimes the family, sometimes the community. Can one change more than the person themselves? Can
Mhm.
we talk a little bit about the stages of change? Like
Mhm.
what does it take really to go from I'm an active user to I am in recovery? I'm an active in Dominica, we call that paro. Okay, a paro is the equivalent here is a crackhead.
Okay.
Completely down and out, completely will do anything
Mm-hmm.
high, will hurt their mother to get high,
Right.
level of how do you go from that? And many people have done it, many people do it, and
Mm-hmm.
will continue to do it. So, but that is a change process.
It is a change process. So the first thing is actually educating the people around you of what this process and what this change looks like. That's number
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Number two, being able to identify that I am an addict, acknowledging I'm an addict.
Yeah.
I'm an addict
That
because
acknowledgement piece is also big with AA, which is Alcoholics Anonymous. First
Mhm,
step really is to say we acknowledged, right?
mhm, mhm.
That whatever we were dealing with was too big for us, and alone we couldn't fix it. So we needed
Exactly.
help. Yeah.
But not, after acknowledge, then I have to accept that I want to change. It
Yes.
doesn't matter how much information people put in front of you. It doesn't matter what they say to you. It doesn't matter how bad they want it for you. I have to accept that I'm an addict.
Yeah.
And then I have to acknowledge that I'm an addict. And then I have to accept that I desire change.
Yeah.
I have to accept that I am ready to commit to the work.
Yeah.
So I'm contemplating, okay, if I get off of these drugs, what is my life going to look like? Is anybody going to still want to listen to my music? Is anybody still going to want to talk to me? Are they going to respect me because they know that I sold my body to get crack and all
Yeah.
those kind of things?
Yeah.
I'm contemplating, is this going to be worth it?
Yeah.
Is
Because I'm surrendering a relationship that I've come to trust to give me a certain feeling. And now I
Mhm,
have to do something completely different to
mhm,
start trusting, okay, this thing over there, they say, sobriety over there, they say will give me this feeling. But I've been
mhm.
sober before and it really hurt. I was really hurting. Can I trust this process?
I was sober and people wouldn't forget my past.
Absolutely. They're gonna remember, keep calling me that name, whatever name they used to call me. Yeah.
Mhm. They're never going to see me outside of my addiction. So I have to learn to see me
Mhm.
outside of my addiction.
My self-esteem has to change. The
Mhm,
way I see myself
mhm.
has to change.
My self
And
awareness.
self-awareness.
And I often tell people that regardless if it's addiction or anything else, any changes that you need to make have to begin internally.
Mm,
As you make those internal changes, here's the extension. Everybody else that extends from you will then begin to treat you like the change that you're presenting.
yeah.
So if I no longer see myself as an addict,
Yeah.
you can't either.
Yeah.
The new book that I'm working on, there's a chapter in there that's called "You Don't Know Me,"
Mm.
because people have a tendency to remember who I was, but not who I
The
am.
old version that they
Exactly,
got used to. Yeah.
because they can
Actually,
manipulate that person.
absolutely. As we start changing, that's an
Mhm,
important thing to remember. And I think that sometimes gets in our way as we start a change process. The
mhm,
person people used to remember, very often, because you're presenting as a different person now, you're rocking the boat, you're
mhm,
changing the status quo, and
mhm,
that unsettles many people. Even though the change you're making is positive,
mhm.
many people in your environment will try to say something, do something to trigger the old version of you,
You know
to
why?
make them feel comfortable. Tell me.
Because they were able to manipulate you and make you a puppet.
It worked for
So
them.
why would I want my puppet to change?
It worked
I
for
can't
them.
control you
Yeah.
anymore because now you're starting to see yourself.
Yeah.
And because you're starting to see yourself, where does that leave me? I can't manipulate you. I can't make other people see my truth
Mm.
and that I am actually a person that is pushing you in this space because it takes the light off of me not
Yeah.
being my best self.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
don't go
Yes.
away.
Yes.
Don't go away
Yeah.
from this because I still need you.
Don't force me to change.
Mm-hmm,
Do not force me to change. Do not
mm-hmm,
force me to change.
mm-hmm,
Because we do, if one every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So anytime you change, even if it's for the worse or for the better, you're going to get some kind of resistance and pushback from people around you. So that's something to help you all remember. It's
Mhm.
okay when you're trying to go off to study, you're trying to start a new business, huh? You're trying to kick drugs, you're trying to stop drinking every day, hmm?
Mhm.
And you're
Mhm.
getting negative pushback. It's
Mhm.
okay, it's to be expected. Your
Mhm.
job in that process of change is to remain consistent.
And to be your best cheerleader.
You got to
My,
do it.
my tagline on Facebook says, I am my greatest asset.
Mm,
Regardless
absolutely.
of what people remember, regardless of what's going on, I am my greatest asset.
Yes,
And whatever that looks like, I am going to deliver myself in the best light possible. So when I
absolutely.
am an asset, you don't have the energy, the space, or the control to demean me.
Listen, listen. This morning I was saying on Kindness and Coffee,
Hmm.
you do not need people to support you. If you're relying on the support of others, you've put yourself in such a weak position.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yes, relying on other people's support is different than asking a wise question for help. You know,
yes,
if you've reached your capacity, yes, you ask for help, but sometimes you're going to have to pay for that help, and you have to be ready to do that
yes.
if you believe you're worth it.
And that's the thing. What is my own perspective of my value and worth?
Absolutely,
That's number one. Number two, why do I need other people to promote me when I can promote me?
absolutely.
The one thing that we know in life, and Dr. Triffy has Transforming Trauma Thursdays. Um, I have a podcast. We both have books, all kind of stuff, and I can
Yeah,
count on one hand family support,
yeah.
so-called friend support. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Hands that are supposed to be there to support you will be.
Absolutely.
We have to put ourselves in a position to understand we are our greatest gift and asset
Always.
always. And understanding, I'm a firm believer, your gift will make room for you and place you among great people. You
Absolutely.
don't need to wait for your passerbys to promote you.
No, no,
Yeah, you
no,
don't need to wait for them. Promote yourself.
no.
Push yourself, because why? If I push me, that means I have a belief in who I am and what I'm capable of
What
doing.
I'm doing, what I'm here to do. You
Hmm.
don't need somebody else to sign off on
Hmm.
this thing that's in your heart to do.
Exactly.
You really
And
don't.
it's just like battling with disorders like anxiety and depression and things of that nature. Yes, those are disorders, but they are disorders that you get the opportunity to start rewiring yourself. I love Jennifer Lewis. If you've never read her book, read her book, especially if you're battling with bipolar disorder, because she talks about how you literally can rewire your brain
Absolutely.
because of bipolar disorder. You don't have to become the stigma, the
Absolutely.
statistic, right? You can become whoever you decide and choose to be.
Absolutely.
No one gets the right to make you come down and be what they want you to be. That's a
Absolutely.
box that they put you in. When
Absolutely.
you came out your mother's womb, you weren't in a box.
You get the choice. You get to choose and act and decide.
And that's the same thing with substance abuse. That's the same thing with being able to give yourself permission to be free.
Can you say that again?
Give yourself permission to be free.
I like that, because I think sometimes, because many of us grow up in this thing where you got to raise your hand. Can you in church, you want to go use the darn bathroom? Sometimes you're like, you know what I mean? like this permission business. So I like sometimes to say that to my clients. You have my permission.
I actually give out permission. I give freedom tickets
I love that.
in session, and they are you can write on them, and when you write on them, you can, with a dry erase, because your freedom may look different this week than it did a
Exactly.
couple of weeks ago. What am I freeing myself of? I'm freeing myself of the need for other people to validate me.
Absolutely.
I'm
It's not
freeing.
necessary.
hmm I'm freeing myself of low self-esteem.
Absolutely.
I'm freeing myself of addiction. What am
Yeah.
I freeing myself? See, that whole freedom piece came from needing massa's permission.
Mm.
We don't need massa permission anymore.
Your master. You know what I'm
You
saying?
your massa.
Goodness.
You your massa. You don't need that permission anymore.
Not anymore.
You just need to open your mouth. I tell this to clients all the time because uh, I'll give some biblical principles,
Yes.
but I'm a firm believer that based on the biblical sense of how the world was created, it was with our words.
In the
God
beginning was
created the
the
words.
word.
God said, "Let there be, let there be, let there be, woman come." Boom, we're here.
In the beginning
I
was the word.
created you in my image.
Yes.
So if I'm created in the image of the creator and the power of words were used to create this vast universe, I then have a right to
I
use
can
the
create
power of my
something.
words to
Oh my
create my
goodness.
entire existence.
Oh my goodness. I can
Listen,
create something with my
the
word.
power of your
Mm,
words.
mm, mm.
You want to be free of addiction. You want to be free of being stuck. You want to be free from folks. Use your words.
Yep. It's got to start there.
Rosalind said religion is holding people captive. Absolutely, because that's the
Absolutely.
problem. They got religion and no relationship. You got to have a relationship
Absolutely.
in order to understand how your freedom comes.
Absolutely.
I'm getting excited. I'm sorry.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Look, okay, so I'm going to run through this. A lot of us are familiar with this Prochaska and Di Clemente stages of change process
Mhm, mhm,
that Marcia was just talking about, right? So they
mhm.
say before you, every change, every action, right, as a point A to a point B, tends to, in large measure, follow this process. Pre
Mhm.
contemplation is where you have no intention of changing. You're not even thinking about it.
You're just hearing people talk.
You can hear people talking, man, you should stop. Girl, you should do. Da 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 da. Now, that word, the power of the word again, is a powerful thing.
Mhm.
It's a powerful thing because even if a person is acting like they're not hearing you, I think it's important to still speak because people, the word seeps in and people marinate on it. And so you come to the contemplation phase where a person now becomes aware of the problem.
Mhm. Mhm.
They're aware it exists, but they're not really committed to taking any action to change it. The change comes not with the wishing of it. I love the idea of manifestation, but trust me, if you're going to manifest anything, you're going to have to be exerting some sort of energy. It could be mental energy, but you're going to have to be exerting something.
Has to be some action.
Has to be some action.
Mhm.
Okay, or else we're building castles in the sky and we're making a very powerful spiritual tool look like nonsense. So
Yes.
knock it off if you just like, oh, let me boom in my hand. That's nonsense. Knock it off.
Well, we need to do a whole nother show.
Okay, knock it off. Now the next phase is preparation. Okay,
Mm.
now you are where you are intent. You have
Mhm.
made the decision. You've set the intention on taking the action. At least up here, I'm going to do this. I am intent on doing this.
Mhm.
Taking the action to address the problem. And then we come to the doing, the action stage, where you're actually changing the behavior. You're following the steps. They said, hey, come go to therapy. They said, join this group, my friend. Even if all you've got is that AA group at
Mhm.
St. Gerard's Hall on Thursdays, that's what you do.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then you move into a state of maintenance because you've learned enough skills. You've begun rewiring your brain, building new, they're called neural pathways, y'all.
Mhm.
They're like little roads in the brain that come from repetition, repetition, repetition. Okay? The brain is plastic. It's called neuroplasticity, meaning
Mhm.
it's not fixed. It can change, but you can bend your brain essentially. Takes commitment though, and consistency and repetition. And the thing you used to do, you do it no more. That now is no longer your default because you have practiced, not just wished, you have practiced a new behavior that is giving you now consistently the result you had been looking for. Okay.
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
sometimes on that road to recovery, which is very common with substance abuse, you have a relapse. You fall off the bandwagon. You got a relapse.
Mhm.
Why? You're a human being. Why?
Mhm.
You might have just been in a place where there was a trigger or there was a scent. The body keeps the score. Your body must have felt a certain way and you did it again. Well, what do? You get back on the program. You get back and you do it again. You might have to do two more circles around the sun. Yeah,
Mhm. The thing is if
yeah,
you already know what helped you, do it again
absolutely. Because
because
you're
if you
building
know what
mastery.
works, exactly. Situations can come up. I love Rosalind's, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. She talked about the diversified massa.
Yes. Oh my God.
When you know who you are, you pull yourself in a space
Mm, mm, mm.
to live that, and you don't get caught up in the fads
The fluff.
of the day. I remember when I first got certified as a clinical hypnotherapist, someone said, so did you give up on God? I was like, what? I was like,
Misunderstanding.
oh, you so full of religion that you just stink.
I know.
No
Oh,
spiritual awareness, no spiritual understanding,
yes.
no move
Yeah.
in really capturing your connection. So
Yeah.
you're still held captive.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so when you start working through the changes, that pre-contemplation to contemplation,
Yes.
to the doing, to the decision making, to
Yeah.
the pushing,
Yes.
the working. See, the problem is we get caught up because we don't want to work,
Oh. Oh.
because
Oh
working
no.
is comfortable, right? We want this snap of the finger.
Yeah.
We want the microwave but
Yeah.
push to make things happening. Well, the truth is, and my aunt reminded me this the other day. She said, do you know that peculiar one has been around for 30 years? She said, you planted that seed 30 years ago. I said, yeah. I said, people think that manifestation comes overnight. It does not.
Mm-mm.
You got to work.
Mm-mm.
You got to train your thought to be
Yeah.
in a positive place. You
Yeah.
have to affirm, you have to believe, you have to go through the tough soil.
Ooh.
You have to move, you have to rake, you have to bend, you get bruised, you get cut. All of those things come into place when when you begin to process manifestation.
Yes.
We don't talk about vision boards and affirmations for nothing. Listen,
I know it.
you want something to come to pass in your life, go back and do an inventory of the thing that you thought about when you were a kid.
Yep.
You know, that thing that you love to do, and then people say, oh, that's too childish, leave that alone. That's what you're supposed to be doing.
Yep.
It's already there.
Yep.
You want to get off drugs, you want to experience a different lifestyle. You know what? Think back. to that thing that made your heart happy.
Brought you joy.
Think back to the permissions that you gave yourself to love you. When you were standing in that mirror saying, it don't matter if they don't like me, I like me. You know, we've all had those
That's
conversations.
right. That's right.
Go back to those times of innocence, so that you can understand you actually deserve a life that is not filled with substance abuse or any other addiction.
Yeah.
We got to get to the why. Got to get to the why. That's it. Why am I here? Why am I addicted?
Yeah.
What happened? Who am I?
You know what I've come to completely believe is when we start taking the action, when we start moving, life opens up the road.
Hmm.
It
Yes.
opens up the road. It opens
Mhm.
up the road. But we have to take an action of movement towards that. Yeah.
It's, everything, and I don't know. I'm gonna blame it on God that the likeness of everything being a garden.
Yeah.
When you go to the store and you grab some seeds, and sometimes the seeds aren't named and things of like that nature, you go home and you say, I'm just gonna see what's gonna come up.
Hmm.
You don't know what's working underground, but what you see first oftentimes is weeds.
Yeah. Yeah. They pop up first, don't they? Yeah.
They pop up because they're trying to choke your vision.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Mm.
when you can recognize that the weeds, and that could be people, places, things, drugs, alcohol, the whole 9 yards, can be
Behavior,
in your
poor
life.
choices.
Poor choices. You have to eradicate those weeds so that your vision and the thing that you desire to manifest can grow.
Yeah.
Well, when I think about the young man that you mentioned that's on substance abuse, that's having difficulty performing, things of that nature, think about the weeds. Think about the weeds in his life
In his life.
that he didn't know how to pluck out the garden.
Yeah. So you're talking there, those weeds could be coping mechanisms that just
Mhm.
didn't, they weren't efficient. They
Mhm.
weren't, you know, his the
Mhm.
way he responded to emotions in his body that didn't feel good. A lot of us respond with addictive behaviors towards things like sadness or anxiety or rage or frustration.
Mhm.
Even sometimes our attitude, like you're saying, maybe thinking like, oh, it's never going to happen for me, nobody's helping me, I'm alone, I'm these negative thought patterns that over time we have now as automatic little teleprompters in the little mind that'll click, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And also the availability for him and the opportunity to use the drugs. Like, where is he going? Who is surrounding him? So I really love your idea for a good 4 or 5 people who really care about him to
Mhm.
keep a close watch on him if
Mhm.
he says yes,
If he
because
says yes.
he says yes.
One of the things I would often tell my clients in substance abuse counseling is there is never a time that substances come find you.
Oh, you mean they don't just
You're
fly in
either,
your mouth?
you're either going to it or somebody's bringing it to you. On their own, they're not searching for you.
Yeah.
If you're addicted to food, food never comes to you on its own. You either are going to get it or somebody's bringing it to you.
Hmm.
If you're addicted to sex, you're going to get it or somebody's bringing it to you.
Hmm.
You have to decide when to stop the cycle
Yeah.
of the transport of the thing that you desire
Mm.
from coming to you. Okay? You have to identify that I no longer want to be part of the transport committee.
Mm.
People around you have to decide that you can't be a part of that committee.
Yeah.
Someone wrote, you begin to learn about yourself and know your triggers as well as the things that lift you.
Yeah.
Say this is a diagnosed person.
Yeah.
You can recognize your past pain and your past trauma.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can get a hold on your triggers.
You say it as you can. I think it's a responsibility when we become adults. I
Mm-hmm.
think the adult must go back to rescue the child.
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
it's a responsibility. It's like
Mm-hmm.
really, all of us grow up watching, reading, listening to these fairy tales.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's gonna come rescue me,
Mm-hmm.
knight in shining armor, and
Mm-hmm.
that's fantasy. That's
Mm-hmm.
fantasy, but that's wired into many of our brains. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a new story. You got to change the story. Yes, Prince Charming might show up, but in the meantime,
But
honey,
he's not riding a white horse.
yeah, on no white horse. I'm my own damn Prince Charming, okay?
Period. Period. And we have to start really speaking truth in life, right? We got to get out of these places of drama. We got
Yes.
to get out of these
Chaos.
unrealistic places. Even in relationship, people can be addicted to relationship, right?
Yes.
And in that addiction to relationship, they're just going to and fro, but they never ask themselves, why can't I have a true relationship with myself
Yeah.
and then relationship with others?
Yes.
All of that is part of even the anxiety and depression, because some people uh, are so comfortable with their depression,
Yeah.
they don't like coming out.
They don't want it to change. They don't want it to be different. Many people get what is called a secondary gain from
Mm-hmm.
not feeling good. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
people will take care of them. They might get some sympathy. They might get some affection, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that becomes their thing, and
Yeah.
they hold on to that negative thing.
Mm-hmm.
When they could make an adjustment and get positive elsewhere. You know.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of it boils down to having fear of the unknown.
Yes.
If I lose my addiction, who am I?
Because that's a relationship. That's a thing that's become so familiar and reliable and dependable. It gives me the same hit.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about emotional addiction and relationship addiction, many
Yes.
of us go through that cycle of just real brutal,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally brutal relationships. It
Trying to
might
figure
not
out
be
where I
physical.
belong.
Yes, trying to figure out, am I lovable? Are they going to choose me? Am I worthy enough for them to choose me?
But we forget to choose ourselves.
Ah,
We forget to love ourselves. We forget that we teach people how to treat us.
oh, can you say it again? I want you to say it again because the first time I heard that was many years ago. Bishop T.D. Jakes, I think he's the one I heard say that in some
Mm-hmm.
teaching, and I was like, that makes no sense to me. I don't get it. How? How? I don't understand. I do now.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us more about this?
Absolutely. We teach people how to treat us because they observe how we treat ourselves.
Oh,
If I down talk me,
mm.
people feel like they have a right to down talk
You
me.
open the door.
If I don't love me, I remember telling my son when he was a teenager, I said to him, if you try to talk back and be disrespectful to me, then your little friends will try that. And what they fail to realize is your mama is real crazy.
Yeah.
She gonna knock your head off and their heads off too. And so you train people
Yeah.
because you don't see me talking to myself. You trying something in the water.
Yeah.
But if I don't know how to stand in front of the mirror and compliment me, if I don't know how to stand up and acknowledge me, if I don't know how to appreciate me,
Yeah.
how can I expect others to do that for
It
me?
makes zero sense. Why should they? If,
Mm-hmm.
if I cannot see the value in myself enough to even say it, and then to go a step further to act like it, to
Mm-hmm.
act because it's in the action, that
Mm-hmm.
the rubber really meets the road.
Mm-hmm.
How dare I? I think it's really audacious of us to say, love me, but I'm doing things in a way that's really unloving, I'm not loving myself.
But how much of your power are you going to give to somebody else
Outside
to
of you.
love you?
Like that's quite a vulnerable state to put to put yourself in of
Mhm.
your own free will.
If the only time I can feel loved is at the hands of somebody else because I can't love me, I am subjected to them being my master.
To whatever they decide to offer me, however they decide to offer it to
Mhm.
me. You
Mhm.
know, and
Mhm.
that for with I'm talking to all the women in the room here because we many of us have been trained to believe that that's how you are to be as a woman. So there's a lot of word that's been put into our
Mhm.
subconscious about this that leaves us now that now you past 40, when it's to be past 40, we start getting a little sense. Now you got a little sense. You're like, this is bull. God,
And at 50, you grown.
I
Listen,
get
when
out
I
of here.
turned 50, I was celebrating. Now that I'm getting headed towards 60, I'm celebrating even harder.
Like,
I
get
have
out of here.
learned to love me. And I have on my Facebook page, I was who I was, and I am who I am, but I'm cool with both of them.
Oh, see,
I'm cool with
thank you.
all of
All
me
the
as
versions of
I continue to evolve this thing called life.
absolutely.
When you can love yourself, even through your own vulnerability, the only thing that someone else can do is accent your love.
Listen, like they say in Mississippi, sucky sucky now.
Oh, sucky now. Right? And so when you position yourself in a space
Yes,
to love you,
yes.
there's your self actualization.
That's it. That's it. And it
There's
is
your
such
self
a
esteem.
sweet space. It's such a beautiful, effortless, pleasant, light, breezy, airy space.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. And understanding that you gave yourself permission to be in
Permission.
your authentic truth,
Yes.
living in your space,
Yes.
being excited. If you don't get excited about yourself, listen, I don't care. I tell people, I don't care if I was a size 8 to a size 22 because I
Oh,
did. Marcia
oh,
is so good with
listen.
herself. When
Listen.
you can literally stand up and look in the mirror and say, girl, you know I love you. Thank you for trusting me with you. Thank you for being present for me. Thank you for seeing me.
Mm.
Thank you for acknowledging me. Thank you for validating me. Oh, that's a conversation that me and Marcia have every day.
Okay.
My eyes pop open. God, thank you for choosing me to be here another day. Order my steps on how you would have me to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Girl, thank you for waking up with me. What we
Yeah.
doing? How you doing? I appreciate you. I love you. We got some things that we got to do.
Yeah.
How you feeling today? How you
Okay.
loving on yourself? Give yourself a hug.
Yeah.
That's me in my morning conversation because my truth is if I have to wait for somebody else to give it to me, then that means my day is going to be empty.
And
Have
just
you ever gotten dressed
dependence.
in a
And
real cute dress
yeah.
and you just wanted somebody, anybody, acknowledge that cute dress, your new hairdo, and nobody, not a single person says a thing. How did that make you feel? It felt
Listen.
made you feel unseen. But you know what? If you stood in that mirror and said, "Oh, you working that dress?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
working
And
that?"
so y'all think about this, right? Take a deep breath, pay attention to yourself for a second. There is an I, there is a you that
Mhm.
is aware of your skin.
Yes.
There is an I That's the I am. I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's an awareness that is the I. That's the big I.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
understand? I. And once and when, upon connection and understanding of that I, which is not
Mm-hmm.
my emotions, it's not my emotions, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Mm-hmm.
my thoughts, even.
Mm-hmm.
It's my awareness of my thoughts.
Yes.
Once you hit that I am understanding, a lot of the bull caca falls away.
Phew.
It cannot stand.
Yes.
Cannot stand.
Yes. When you can have that Moses experience, who shall I say sent me? Tell him I am.
I am.
So
I
when
always
Marcia
am.
goes, I am.
I always am.
I am everything that I've been created to be.
I am. And that is how it is, that understanding when you finally hit it that makes something like addiction.
Mm-hmm.
There's no need for it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no need for it. There's no need for it, you know, when I get to that understanding.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My emotions, I develop a whole different kind of relationship now with my emotions when I realize I am outside of these feelings that are
Yes.
moving in my body, or these thoughts that are passing through my mental awareness, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or this extra little love handle that I got from birthing my two beautiful babies that some other
Mm-hmm.
human being might think need not be there. And you understand, I don't give a rip. I do not give a rip about what your thoughts are about this little love handle that I love.
Cause it's cool. I'm cool with me.
I am cool. I am cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I want to challenge everybody to just take a moment, take a deep breath, and let me walk you through a couple of I am statements.
Yes, let's go.
So take that deep breath in, hold that space for yourself, release that breath. I am peace.
I am peace.
I am everything I need.
I am everything I need.
I am created in love.
I am created in love.
I am strength.
I am strength.
I am resilience.
I am resilience.
And I am freedom.
I am freedom.
Just
Woo!
hold that space. Yes. Yes. Yes and yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Y'all, this is what I'm going to do. Y'all are familiar with the Serenity Prayer.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Serenity Prayer, many people in substance abuse recovery use that prayer to help them with a certain level of I amness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I amness. Yeah, of acceptance of what is, but moving through anyway on this
Mm-hmm.
journey we are calling life. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read the entire prayer. Mhm. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change,
Mm-hmm.
courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as the pathway to peace, taking, as Jesus did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, as it is,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as it is,
Mm-hmm.
trusting that He will make all things right if I surrender to his will, that
Mhm.
I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with him forever in the next. Amen. And you can substitute Jesus
Man.
for whomever your higher power is,
Mhm.
whomever the God of your understanding is.
I'm gonna add this.
Yes.
I control what I can control, and what I can't, I let it go because it doesn't belong to me.
To me in the first place.
Mhm.
Yes.
So that's how we get caught up because we try to control stuff that is not us. Let it go. Control what you can control. Understand that, and I love the serenity prayer because it asks for the wisdom to see what I can control and what I can't,
Hmm.
and the peace to let go.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, this was powerful.
Thank you so much. I just love when we share these healing
Yes.
conversations because I trust that I am and you are.
If you notice when you sent the text, I immediately was like, yes, I'm there. I didn't even
Yeah,
look at my calendar to make sure that it was clear.
I love
I'm
that.
there.
I really appreciate
Like,
that.
I'm gonna move whatever I need to move.
I
I had
really
clients
appreciate
right
that.
before this. I was like, you got to 6:45.
Yes,
Whatever y'all need to put out in the environment, 6:45.
yes. Well, I want you before we say goodnight to
Mm-hmm.
let the good people know how they can listen to you more
Okay.
because I feel your words and the energy of your voice resonating with them and what they need to look out for from you, to read from you, the word, because there is power in word.
Yes.
Yes.
So, number one, on any streaming app, Spotify, Apple, Google, all of that, Authentically Peculiar with Marcia is the podcast. The first four session talks about breaking trauma. You can go to my website at marciablaine.com and download the free workbook regarding unsticking the trauma. I have a conference coming up in October the 22nd. If you're in the Georgia area or you're flying in, you can purchase your ticket for $45. The conference is entitled 115959. What that means is even in a second, your life can change and bring about the manifestation that you desire in your life. My book is releasing, I believe it's September 1st, Making Progress in the Process to Fulfill Your Purpose. I am working on a book now called Tell Your Past to Go to Hell.
Ooh.
I'm pushing to get that one done. I encourage you to follow me on YouTube for 5 minute meditation every day. The same way that I guided you through the I am statements, that is what I do on the 5 minute meditation. For the month of July, it has been endless possibilities. We have been manifesting endless possibilities all this month.
Yes.
Um, Next month is going to be walking in expectation, where we're walking in expectation in everything that we do. Just get out there. Marcia Blaine, MarciaBlane. You Google it, it'll come up. uh, Instagram, TikTok, all of that good stuff. You'll find me out there, usually under Authentically Peculiar with Marcia. Dr. Triffy, I followed your guidance, one name across the board.
That's it.
Um, and so that way you all can find me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. All I can tell you is you all are a blessing to
Absolutely.
be in this room with us tonight, to allow us to pour into your spirit. So I say thank you for
Absolutely.
showing up. Dr. Triffy, you know I love you.
I love you back.
Love you. And I really appreciate you for honoring me to be in this space with you. I can't wait till we do it again.
Yeah. So yes, y'all. So again, I will be here if love and life and God and whomever and however the universe works allows it next Thursday. Thank you all for purchasing Do It Now. Lots of you have your copies already. It's available on Amazon. I'm going to
Do it
do it
now.
now. Do it now.
Listen, life
Whatever
is
it is.
short,
Oh, my
and
goodness.
there are no guarantees.
None.
Whatever that vision, that goal, that desire, that thing that you put up on the wall back here. I was telling
Mm,
Dr. Triffy that I'm a huge Beauty and the Beast fan, so all of my stuff is there. But whatever you put away,
yeah.
right? Take it off the shelf,
Yeah.
dust it off, read that book, do it now.
Yeah. It's time.
Don't, yeah, don't cut yourself short anymore.
Mm-mm.
Stop doing that.
Mm-mm.
You
That's
got something to offer this world. Why do you think you're still here?
I know. I know.
I'm
All
ready to
right,
read some
so
of y'all stuff.
okay.
Yes.
So we want to say thank you
Yes.
again to Marcia. Marcia, I really appreciate you. I appreciate how you say yes and how your yes is so easy, it's effortless, it's beautiful. Thank you for sharing
You're so
with my lovely people who show up. Y'all, I'm gonna see y'all in the morning, Lord willing, for a little kindness and coffee. All right?
I'll tip in there
That's
because
right.
I got clients, but I'm gonna tip in there like I normally do. Y'all be easy, be good to yourself, show
Yeah,
yourself some grace.
absolutely.
Please show yourself some grace.
Absolutely. All right. Have a lovely night, y'all. Bye.